Welcome back to another episode of Crystal Hook Fishing. Today we're going to be going over how I rig spear guns. Two kinds of spear guns. One is a basic reel gun with double bands, and two is a gun without a reel. And we're going to do wishbones and all that kind of stuff. We're going to get into it. So we're going to start off with the reel gun. The reel gun, you're going to want to have a couple things. The first is 300-pound mono. Second is crimps for the mono. The third is going to be crimp pliers. And the fourth is going to be one of these like bungee extension things. This is optional because you can actually tie a knot straight from your crimp to your shooting line. But I like this because it has a quick release right here for sliding your shooting line through to the fish. All right. I apologize for my lighting. It's a bit weird because the circuit's broken up there. But we're going to start with the reel gun. First thing you want to do is take your shooting line, thread it through the reel and the front eyelet. And you're going to want to take the bungee with the quick release and tie it to the front of your reel line with whatever your favorite knot is. I like to use a clinch knot just because it's quick and it holds really nice, especially with this Dyneema shooting line. And then you just cinch it down like that. The key to this is burning the end, which I'm gonna do close up of. Once you have your knot all good and tight and cinched down like this, you're gonna wanna take a lighter and burn that end. So it gets nice and hard in the end there, which will keep it from being able to slip because you've got that little knob at the end of the knot. And you're gonna wanna do that with all your Dyneema knots, wishbone, any of that kind of stuff that we're gonna do later on in the video. Next, you're going to want to grab your shaft, a crimp, and your mono. You're going to want to slide the crimp through the mono, then take this hole at the end of the shaft. On shark fin shafts, it'll be on one of the shark fins, and just slide the mono with the crimp on one side through. Then you want to take the crimp, slide it up, and slide it back down through the other part of the mono. And you want this to be able to lie, it's not necessarily as close to here as possible, but you want it to lie as flat as the shaft on the shaft as possible, which takes a little practice just getting to that good flat part, but like right around there. And you want to check by loading it into the gun to make sure if it's working, if it's flat enough, if it'll actually, go in and stay loaded. There we go. Loads in there. And then you can take this here, cut part of the end off so that there's more of a stub because I have a bit of a longer tag end. All right, once you have that end cut off and more at a nip, you want to burn the tag end as well so it sits over that crimp. Like that. Then take shaft out, get your crimping pliers, and crimp it in place so that you're sure nothing's gonna happen to it. Boom, boom, boom. Now you want every single connection on here to be as good as you can make it, because these are the only things connecting you to your fish. All right, so now we have to measure the length of shooting line that we want to go to the end here. So I'm gonna double wrap. Just wrap once with your line, have that come over the front, and the new line likes to kind of is not fitted to the gun, so it likes to pop off sometimes. You're gonna take it, wrap it, and then pull it up to where it would meet naturally this clip here, right? And once you have it at that length, you wanna cut it just after that, so you have enough to make a loop and work with that. So I'm gonna cut it at about here, so I have enough to work with right here. Once your line is all ready to go, you want to rewrap it, slide it over, back, and then back again. Then you want to take the front here, slide it through another crimp, which is a little more difficult when you've cut it, but it should go right through. Slide it through the crimp, and then it has trouble doing this, but really all you need is to take this and make a loop through here, like this. And you will edit the size of the loop based on the wraps so that you can have it nice and tight and flush to the gun. So you put that back through the crimp the way that it was before, like that. And a smaller loop tends to be better because it slides through fish easier when you're pulling them back out. So what you want to do is, instead of making your loop bigger, you make the tag end longer. So you take your line, thread it, and threading these lines when you first get them is really annoying because it's got memory. But thread it back on, and now that it's got that crimp there, you can really tell where it's supposed to go. So this is a little too loose, so I'm going to extend my tag end by quite a bit in order to get this to be the right size. So I want the tag end to be more like that. And then this should stretch a little bit and get me right where I want to be, which is right about there. So what I want to do now is I'm going to cut this where I want it, and these scissors are terrible. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to burn the end here like this, and you want to be careful to avoid the other line. So burn the end, make sure not to burn yourself, make sure not to burn the other line. Just burn what you want to burn. And sometimes when it mushrooms out like that, I like to push it down and then hit it again. Just push it down onto where it needs to be, like this. Perfect. And then crimp it down. And once this is crimped down, you've rigged yourself a quick release shaft. Perfect for, I use this gun for going after grouper because it's got that quick release in case I need to retrieve a fish. Which is, I'm going to crimp it right here because that wasn't very good. There we go. And obviously make sure, test all your crimps and stuff like that. But that is the real gun, how to rig that up. Next is my reelless gun. So I'm going to rig this one up having already have one of these stretch things on the end, but you basically just loop it on there. So this shaft has a slidey piece here that you basically tie your shooting line to. The first thing we want to do is take our shooting line and tie it off to this piece right here, the stretchy piece, so that we know where we're beginning, which makes things much easier. So I like to use the same knot that I use for the Dyneema. You just wrap, flip it through, pull it back, and cinch. Once it's all cinched down, you also want to burn the spectra. You want to take it, and actually, I should cut this a bit before I burn it, because if you try to burn it when it's too long, it's just going to make a massive blob, and it's going to take forever, and you don't really need that much of a tag end to do the burning. And these scissors are terrible. Okay, so you want to cut the tag end. With your shorter tag end, you want to burn as well. This burns a lot faster than the other line because this is Spectra, this isn't Dyneema. So it doesn't have the harder, more resistant walls. And now that that's burned, tap it down. That's not going anywhere. All right, so once you have it burned, I have this open for some reason. Oh yeah, because when I took off the old one. You want to take your shooting line, slide it through wherever the end is, like that. Wrap it, as many wraps as you want, and do the same thing as before. Extend it a little bit past where you want to attach it here, except I didn't start with the shaft this time. Send it a little bit past, and then you want to cut it right there. Once you've cut it, you want to tie it through that spot that you were going to tie it to, and then just tie it down. Get your knot, Go like that. I'm gonna do a third wrap here just to be safe. And then cinch it down and you're good to go. Oh, and you wanna make sure to burn this end of it as well, just to make sure you've got all the bases covered, no fish come off, no knots slip, nothing like that. And it just keeps the end of it nice and neat. But there we go. It's got the reel gun and the gun without a reel all rigged up. And the last thing we're gonna cover is wishbones. The best way I find to get rid of the stuck little old wishbones that are already broken is just burn a section of them, and then you can just easily pick apart the knot like that. So what you're left with here is these two exposed loops. And what you wanna do is take your band here and just see the length wishbone that you need to sit over the risers. And with a normal gun, this step is not necessary. With a roller, it is. You want a wishbone length that's going to allow it to hold over the risers while the bands sit on the roller like this and not like way below it like that. So you want a length like about there. And now that I have the length that I kind of want, just a little longer than this, you can begin to tie the first side. So the knot is pretty common. It's literally just you loop it through, you loop it back through and over itself. And it's really simple. And then you just pull it tight. So I'll show you what that looks like here. So this is what that knot looks like. The blue is mine. I haven't cinched it down, but you can see it goes in, you go around and back through, over itself, and out the other side. And once you get that, you just want to burn it down like any other knot that you're going to do with Dyneema. Just grab that, burn it, tap it down, and then just cinch the hell out of it so that you know it's going to be strong when you're loading your bands. Like that. Then cut the length, repeat with the other side, and you should get a finished wishbone. Now we got all three guns rigged up, ready to go tomorrow.